Hello, this is the Hypro V560 sectional control valve. In this video, I'll be working my way through the inlet cover, the outlet cover, and working my way through to identify individual sections of the valve. So after the video, you'll be able to identify what type of inlet you have, what type of outlet you have, what spool section you have if it's controlling a cylinder or a motor, the spool mechanism if it's detented or spring centered, any ancillaries you may have on the valve. You'll be able to identify if it's an anti-cav or service line relief. We talk about the flow controls, the electric sections that are on their own, or electric and manual sections. So after the video, you will be able to identify what type of valve you have on your equipment. I'm here today to talk about the Hypro V560 valve and the different configurations we can have. So we're going to start on the inlet covers and the outlet covers. So as you can see here, clearly on these, it's got a stamped in for inlet, out for the outlet, so you can't really go wrong. These two have got relief valves on the inlet. This one hasn't. This one is side ported, meaning this is the side of the valve. So there's nothing else. The inlet is going in through the side. This one through the top, so this is top ported. This one has no relief valve, but it does have the letter E stamped on it. That's important because further along in the valve, on the valve sections, this will be used in conjunction with electric sections. On the outlets, we've got a side out. We've got a top ported out. We also have a top ported out, but this one has a pressure carryover, all 1/2 inch PCO pressure carryover. This one, as you can see, has a cartridge in it. This is a pressurizing cartridge. I'll talk about this later on in the video. Here we have combined inlet unloader and then just the unloader section, a slice if you like. Both exactly the same, apart from this one has this pressurizing cartridge on built in here. Again, it's got stamp here, stamp on the inlet. V5 RXXX, that would be relief valve, and we'd set that at 140, so we just put XXX, it's our code. T for top ported, 4 in our code is 1/2 inch. E for electric, i.e. there will be electric sections in this valve. U for the unloader, which is here, and this is normally open to tank. I'll explain this a little bit more detail further on in the video. Also, I forgot to mention, on both we have here a manual override, but again I'm going to talk about this in more detail further along in the video. All right, so these are the different inlets and outlets that we'd have. I know this has a top port inlet and this doesn't. This would, let me get it right. Yep, this would have an inlet cover. This is how you would see this makeup. All right. Moving on to the valve sections now. How do you identify what section is in your valve? Okay, so what you can do, if you can look in between the service ports, see if there's a letter stamped on it. It'll either be M or D in most circumstances. It can be 4 in other circumstances, but if we find out what letter is stamped, it'll tell us what it is. So M is for motor spool, D is for cylinder spool, and 4, as we'll come to see in a minute, is 4 position. Okay. Next thing we want to know is, what is it doing? What's the lever doing? So get the lever. So this is springing back to neutral. So we've got 1, 2, 3 position, spring return. So this is a motor spool with a handle, 3 position. Okay, so then we're going on to the next one. Again, we'll have a look in between. We can see it's M for motor spool. Right. This is locking in position, okay? 1, 2, 3. 3 position, detented motor spool section. Okay, so we've got 4 here. So let's have a go. Spring back, spring to neutral. Okay, and if we push it forward and then push it forward again, it stays in that 4th position. So this is the 4th position. Okay, 4th position section. This section, it's obviously D, so it's controlling a cylinder or a ram. Customers ask for no handle. More than likely, they would require one of these, a sleeve and a cable, which we also supply. But some customers just request a slice like that. Depends what you want. Okay, this is our standard flow control. We have a bypass that we set at certain pressure, and hand wheel, scroll it out, increase the flow, screw it in, decrease the flow. Okay. Here we have some slightly more complicated valve sections. Okay. Again, what we're going to do is we'll start off, we'll have a look at what the handle's doing. And this is springing back. So 1, 2, 3. 3 position, spring centered. Now, in the previous video, we would look in between the service ports to see what letter was stamped. In this case, obviously we have this ancillary on now, so therefore it is now stamped on this plate at the end here. Right, what have we got here? So if we turn this round, we can see V5PC stands for pilot check. And those that know hydraulics, this is a ball on seat and fluid can only go one way. Okay, so this is a 3 position motor spool with pilot check. Okay, next one, same again. 3 position spring return. What's it say on the plate? M. 3 position motor spool. And then we'll have a look on here. Get it to focus. AC on the B and AC on the A. So 3 position spring centered motor spool with anti-cavs on the A ports and the B ports. Okay, and like this one, this one had pilot check on the A and the B port. Okay, if one of these is blanked, okay, and there's nothing on that, and that said anti-cav, you'd have an anti-cav on the A port but not on the B port. Okay, same with the pilot check, and we'll see with this one in a minute. Again, we'll get the handle. Okay, so that is staying in position. All right, 3 position, 1, 2, 3 position. What's it got? M spool. So 3 position detented motor spool. What have we got on here? Focus, excuse me. And that says 140 bar. And again, 140 bar. So that is 3 position detent with 140 bar relief pressure on the A port and 140 bar relief pressure on the B port. Here we have 2 similar sections, both electric, solenoids and coils on. They're both D spools. I can see it from here. I'm not sure if you can there, but it says D and D. The only difference is this has a manual override, okay? So pure electric with no handle, and this has the the cover plate or the blanking plate on the end here. So it's just purely operated by electric. This one manually if you want, or a choice of electric. Very common on the recovery vehicles that we supply into. Just going back to the inlet unloader a minute that we talked about earlier in the video. This is very common on transport vehicles that we sell into. So they like it because this is normally open to tank. So what I mean is when flow is in here, it is just going straight to tank. Okay, it's not until this is energized does it then send the hydraulic fluid down through into the sections. So I just want to explain what the bits and pieces on here. We have a pressurizing cartridge here, which pressurizes the hydraulic fluid to 35 bar through these holes. And what that does is when these are energized, A and B, it sends flow in either or direction through the section, and then that moves the spool, which opens up the A or the B ports. Okay. This is a bypass and relief cartridge. We'll set that at whatever the customer has requested. Here we have coil and normally open solenoid section, and here we have a manual override. So if this fails, screw this in, you can send fluid then through the valve and you can operate it normally. It's just a safety device. Well, this is a safety device and this is a get you out of trouble device. All right, so that would be a typical setup, for example. Another setup then, again, we have the relief valve bypass cartridge, the normally open solenoid yellow dot, that tells us it's normally open, with the manual override. If you notice, we don't have pressurizing cartridge like we did on the combined inlet unloader. So then what we have to do is we have to get an electric end cover with the pressurizing cartridge on there, and then we'll get an electric inlet cover, and that could be a typical setup. All right, I hope that's enabled you to identify what sections you have in your valves. If there's any questions, you can give us a call on 01626 572249. Thank you.